Hello and welcome to the monthly Q&A for July. If you would like to get your question answered in a Q&A like this one, then head on over to ask.fm/Sharmalade and I will do my best to answer your question as long as it's not too rude. Now, I don't know if you remember, but last Q&A, the first question was covered by an advert, but I was on it today. I knew this could happen. So as soon as I scrolled down, I quickly screenshotted before the advert had a chance to actually happen, and I managed to screenshot the question before the advert covered it. So the question is from Adam Darlington, and the question is, if you were Prime Minister, ruler of the world, what laws would you make? Oh, I think it's quite obvious what my answer is going to be. 2 laws. 1, that everyone should be playing at least 1 MMO at any given point. And the second one is that everyone should have a dog. Who has seen or going to see the new ABBA movie from Phil Charles? I haven't seen the new ABBA movie. I didn't know there was one, to be honest, because I've been living under a rock. How is your relationship with your parents? Okay, so I knew this question was going to come up at some point. So my mum and dad got divorced when I was 10 years old, and if I'd had the choice, I would have wanted to live with my dad. I've always been very much a daddy's girl. We were really close growing up. I've got like a ton of memories, childhood memories with my dad, just so many things. But it was a really quick thing that happened, and it was basically just like one day my dad came into my room, my brother was with me, and we knew something was going on downstairs with my mum and my dad. And then my dad came into my bedroom and just held us and just said that he was going away. And he was crying and we were crying and it was really shit. And that's kind of how it happened. It was a really, really quick thing. It was like a rip the plaster off kind of thing. And I just craved my dad. I missed him so much. Like, I missed him with all my heart, and it affected my school life, and I kept running away from home, and I just really wanted to be with him. I think about 3 or 4 years passed, and he had moved away, so he was living really close to us, and then he moved like an hour away, and that's when I started running away because I just wanted to be with him. But he was living with his mum and dad at the time, my nan and granddad, and it just kind of wasn't possible for me to be there. But then I ended up living with my nan and my granddad and my dad in their house, and I changed schools and everything, and I was so happy to be living with my dad but really unhappy to be in a new school because I missed all my friends. So it was kind of like, what do I want more? And obviously I wanted to live with my dad more. It was just something that was just consuming my life at that point. It had to be that way. And and then eventually we found a house that was close to my old school again, and we managed to get it and move in, and it was just one of the best days of my life because it was like, oh my god, we've got our own place and I could go back to school with all my old friends, and I was just completely content, like 100% happy. But it in turn kind of I had a very strained relationship with my mum, and I always kind of have. So my relationship with my dad is really good, and he's like my best mate, but my relationship with my mum, there kind of isn't one, and there hasn't been for a long time, so we'll just leave it at that for that for that answer. So on to a bit more of a light-hearted question now. Get the heavy stuff out the way, get it done early. What's your favourite food? And this is from Nerevarine Resdayon. My favourite food kind of changes. I think in one Q&A I said it was sushi, and it kind of is still sushi. I love sushi. I haven't had it for ages though. I used to get, you know, like the little packs that you can get, like the veggie one or the fish one. So I like sushi. And what else do I like? I do like a good steak, but I don't have steak often because it's just too much. I don't actually have a lot of red meat. I normally have things like pork or fish. So when I have a steak, it's because I mean it. It's like I kind of need to have a steak. I need to have some red meat. So I think steak and sushi are like kind of my two up there foods. If someone gave you money to go for a trip and the trip was to discover places with interesting musical traditions and or singing traditions, where would you want to go? The funds given to you allow you to visit up to 5 places. And that's from Natalie M.L. Romer. So I would want to do Elisa Gerard, to be perfectly honest with you, Natalie. I think I would really like to do what she did. So she travelled around the world and she just learned each kind of cultural music style from each place that she visited, and she just honed it, and you can really just hear it's her voice, but with like the experience and the knowledge and the different spices of each culture is just in her voice, and it's incredible. And I can't imagine anything more satisfying personally than to travel the world and learn how to sing in each different style. I remember when I read about that, when I was stalking Lisa Gerard, and I remember reading it and thinking, that's amazing. I mean, that's a dedication to your art. That's, you know, you want to travel the world and you want to go and learn these different styles of singing and then hone them. I think that's absolutely incredible, and, you know, my respect for Lisa Gerard was like through the roof for that, you know. So I think that's, I'd want to go anywhere where there's a new singing style to learn. What are your top 3 story moments in Warcraft? Oh my god, that's a hard one. I've been playing WoW for a long time. I guess the first one, I always go to it. It is literally my go-to. When Wetlands wasn't screwed over, there were boats in the harbour, and one of the boats didn't go anywhere, and dude got in it and couldn't get out and had to Hearthstone off of the boat, which I'll never forget. It was brilliant. It was I remember his absolute frustration, and just he's like, I can't get off this boat, I can't. And I was like, you're gonna have to Hearthstone then. So that's probably my first one. My second one was a battleground moment, and if this person is still watching this, True Heaven, where are you? You're actually showing us offline on my friends list now. But True Heaven, Dude and I, we teamed up and we went into a battleground, and it was just one of those moments. True Heaven and I were healing, and Dude was doing DPS. And where was we? Arathi Basin. And I want to say, because I can't remember, I haven't done battlegrounds for a long time. I'm trying to think of the one that's up in the centre, kind of, and there's like the bridges that go to it. Is it the lumber mill? No, because that's over on the other side. Well, it's the one in the middle, you know. And we were there, the Horde had it, we went in, just us 3, and we owned, guys. We kicked so much arsehole, and normally True Heaven would film stuff like that, and he didn't film it, and it was like one of those moments where as True Heaven and I were healing, both of us, like voice comms, we were like, oh my god, right? And Dude was just kicking ass hole. And it was incredible, and it was one of those that was an amazing moment. Did you film it? No. Right, why not? But that is another story. I'll never forget that moment in World of Warcraft. It was just so epic. Story number 3 would probably be when I tamed Loknahak, because I found him dead like 2 or 3 times before I actually tamed him. He was the only spirit beast that I really wanted, really just the only one that I cared. And Dude and I had this agreement, this like arrangement that he would, you know, farm when I wasn't farming, and I would be logged in and he would let me know. And so the first time I found Loke, he was killed by a Horde, and I was just beside myself. I was like, why would you do that? Why would you do that to this beautiful spirit beast? And then I found him again and he was dead, and it was really frustrating. You know, you have the add-on, and it plays that dung 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 when you get close to, and it's like the most, your adrenaline, your heart rate, like you feel like you're gonna have an instant stroke, because it's just like, oh my god, where? And like you're racing with the arrow to get there before someone else gets there. Anyway, the time that I did find Loke, he, Dude was actually meant to be, it was his turn on patrol. He was the one that was meant to be like looking out for Loke and waiting. So he was logged in, I was logged in, but my NPC scan went off and I was like, dude, it's here, and like this is meant to be like you. I think I was in another room or something and I heard it go off. Anyway, I've come running in, flown, got, I remember I spent so much money to upgrade my flying mount speed to like the best speed. It's super quick. It wasn't even my main character, my hunter. It was super quick. And flew over there, and I flew to this waterfall area, and Loke was there, and I was like, you know, like when you get, you know, you've, like, I researched a million times, put the trap down, make sure there's no other mobs around you that are gonna like get in the way when you're trying to do this, throw your trap down, get it in it, and then start taming it. But it all went out the window, and I was like, what do I press? And I'm like responding to someone, and then I'm like nearly Alt and F4 in, and I was so confused and so terrified. But I remember taming it, and I remember, you know, like when you do /who, there was always like a million hunters in Sholazar Basin, and I remember thinking, oh god, another hunter's, and then I had like this guilt feeling of like, oh, you know, these other hunters wanted it too, but I've just got it. And I remember when I got it, I straight away put in the map chat that I just tamed it, because then people can, you know, they can reset the timer, they get an idea as to when he might spawn again. And I had so many lovely whispers from these other hunters just saying, oh, grats, and they wanted to come and see it, and where did you tame it, and all this. So that was another really epic moment in World of Warcraft. This question is from Rebecca Klontz. If you had to pick one race and class to be transformed into, what would it be and why? If you could spend a year with one main person from WoW, who would it and why? Oh, that's a toughie. Let me think. One race and class to rule them all. I think I'm probably just gonna have to go for a holy priest, because I can heal myself, you know, in times of trouble. I can res people in their times of trouble. I can do pretty good DPS as well with my holy fires, my smites, and I think race-wise, right now I'm a Void Elf Holy Priest, but I think I'd rather go for Night Elf for that Shadow Meld y'all. And if you could spend a year with one main person from WoW, who would it be and why? A whole year? A whole year with someone that I know from World of Warcraft? I couldn't bear it. I couldn't. I think it would probably have to be someone who I met last year called Soul, because we do get on really well and he's hilarious. But to be honest, I could probably spend a year with anyone in my current guild. I've met a lot of them in real life and they're all bloody brilliant. Sorry if this sounds rude, but say you're a singer but you just milk content from WoW. Oh, that's a question. Sorry if this sounds rude, but you say you're a singer. Oh, I read it wrong. Sorry if this sounds rude, but you say you're a singer, but you just milk content from WoW. If WoW doesn't have any new content, your channel dies down a lot. Also, when are you going to produce your own stuff instead of relying on a popular game for content inspiration? You do realise how dumb that question is, right? How dare you create music off of something that inspires you? You're just milking it. You do realise that that's how that sounds? Well, I'm sorry, Anonymous, if my creating songs off of something that inspires me offends you, but that's not going to change. I'm not sure if you can hear, I've had to close all the windows today. The sounds of the neighbourhood, the sounds of the jungle are outside today. We've got two people on petrol bikes going around the fields outside. They're not meant to be. One of them's a tiny little pink Barbie bike and the dad's riding it around and he's going nee nee, and then there's another guy that's riding an actual proper petrol bike and it's so loud. And when I was going around shutting the windows, I could see the local dog walkers eyeballing them so much. Like they've got their dogs on the lead and they're probably just thinking, I just want to walk my dog. Like I couldn't walk Maggie over there now because she's a nutter and she would just run in front of the bikes and stuff. So I'm sorry if the sounds of it keeps coming in. So this next question is from Shannon. What shows are your current faves? Oh, God, I knew this question was going to come up. It's come up at an awkward time for me. So I am currently watching Love Island. I know. Think what you will. It's my guilty pleasure right now. Dude's watching it as well. He likes it more than I do. it's like our nighttime ritual thing. It's like, should we go and watch Love Island? Yep, and we get the tablet out and we watch Love Island. It finishes tonight though, so... but we are also watching, well, we found a new show on Amazon Prime the other night actually, and we've almost finished it. Each episode is an hour long, it's 8 episodes, and it's called The Boys. Gotta watch it, it's brilliant. It's about superheroes, that's all I'll say. It's really like, it's really mature, it's like an adult show, really funny. You can really get on board with the cast. Each character is like, it's really easy to bond with them. They're really good, interesting characters. So we've started watching that, that's like one of my favourites right now. We finished Stranger Things, it was alright I guess. I was never really into Stranger Things from the get-go. I mean, I liked it for the 80s, like retro, loved that, like the whole the whole 80s, the whole 80s atmospheric thing that they did was just brilliant, and they still managed to bring it this season. But I didn't really rate it that much, to be honest, and Elle seemed way too different for me. Like, I think it's because I started to follow her on Instagram and I could see like her true personality, and I felt like she was way too much like the real her in season 3, and I couldn't get on board with it because she went from being kind of this innocent girl to being quite kind of, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but like worldly, and I don't know, she just was way too different. The contrast was too different, so I couldn't get on board with it. But I really do want to watch, and I've wanted to watch it for ages now, I want to watch Lucifer. That's on Netflix. Hey, look, Lucifer's got to be up my street, right? I love a bit of paranormal romance, you know me, so I'm looking forward to watching that one next, and I'll probably watch some Japanese romance thing as well on the side. I haven't watched one for ages. This next question is also from Shannon. Transmog is definitely something important in WoW. Is there something that you wish that Blizz would implement to make it easier for transmog or make it better? Dyes. I wish we could dye the different sets. But as it stands, I think the transmog system right now is pretty good. It would be, I mean, obviously it would be really nice if we could just transmog anywhere and not have to go or use a certain thing to be able to transmog our gear, because it really does ruin my raid experience. You know, like you get a really cool new piece of gear and you want to equip it, and it's like, holy damn, the stats on that are so much better than the stats I've got, and then you put it on, you're like, oh my god, I can't raid like this, and no one's got a transmog mount, and you just kind of have to go through the raid and then like, just don't look at me, please don't look directly at me. Like, and that's what happened to me last raid. I got this dress that was like green or something, and you know, my hair's purple, like green and purple. It's just abhorrent. Like it really ruined my raid experience. So that's it for this month's Q&A. If you'd like to get your question answered in a Q&A like this one, then head on over to ars.fm/Sharmalade, and I'll do my best to answer your question as long as it's not too rude. There is a backlog, I'll let you know now. It's like my Q&A disclaimer. There's a backlog of 12 months. But that's a good thing, right? Because then I know that for 12 months there's still going to be Q&As. I'm still going to be getting Q&As out for a year. If I was like going month to month, I think I'd be a bit concerned. So your question will get answered, but you know, in like maybe 12 months time, unless you asked me a question 12 months ago, and then it's coming up. So stay tuned. Have a wonderful fortnight everyone, and I'll see you next time for the vlog.